Hey, it's Adrian, and today I'm taking a look at Logitech's new mouse. So this is the Lift Vertical Ergonomic mouse, and you can see this kind of looks a bit similar to their MX vertical mouse. However, this one is a bit smaller. It's meant for small to medium sized hands. Now, I am coming from the MX Master 3, and this is my first vertical mouse, so I'm curious to see how it stacks up in terms of my daily use. So let's get started. The Logitech Lift vertical mouse comes in at around 70 US, and it comes in three colors. So you have rose, pale gray, which is what I have, and graphite. Now it also comes in a left-handed version too if you're left-handed. In the package, so you have the Logitech Lift mouse. There's also a quick start guide here printed on the packaging, so that's a pretty nice touch. But let's take a closer look at the mouse. So overall, it's a nice looking mouse. I think I got it in the pale gray just because I had black. I wanted a bit of a change. And just holding it for the first time, it actually feels pretty natural. It doesn't feel as strange as I thought it would. But let's take a look at the design and buttons. So the design at the back here, it's kind of this ribbed type of texture here. So I guess that's for better gripability. You have a forward and backwards button there. And these have a bit of a sound when I click them. You have the Logitech logo at the top there. On the other side, there's the scroll wheel button here. I guess this could be to switch the scroll wheel, how it functions. I'll have to test that out. The right and left buttons, and these are very quiet when I'm clicking them. I can barely hear anything actually. On the underside of it, so there's the on-off button, the tracking laser, and you do have the option to switch between different devices if you're going to use Logitech Flow. That is something I'm a fan of, so I will set that up. And then if I lift this, so we do have AA battery included, looks like Duracell, and of course a wireless USB adapter. Now, you do have options to use this either with Bluetooth or with this USB wireless adapter here. I also just noticed that this bottom cover here, it's actually magnetic. So you can see there's three magnets there and it just kind of snaps into place. So that's a pretty neat design feature. Overall, build quality is excellent. The mouse feels well built, it's solid, there's no creaking, and most importantly, there's no discernible wobble. In terms of specs, the DPI ranges from 400 to 4000 DPI, and it is adjustable by 100 DPI increments. Now, it does use a AA battery, which is not the best. I do wish it was rechargeable. However, the battery life is rated for up to 24 months, and likely due to the fact that it's using Bluetooth low energy technology. The wireless range on this is about 10 meters as well. Taking a look at the hand feel and just general ergonomics of the mouse. So this feels really good in the hand actually. So considering that this is my first vertical mouse, I'm actually surprised at how easily and how comfortable and natural this position feels. One thing I did notice is that they do kind of mention it puts your hand in a natural handshake type of motion. And I have actually noticed now that they mention it, at rest, my hand isn't normally flat and planted like that. It's kind of up in this up position. So this actually now makes a lot of sense now why it is situated this way. And it does feel very comfortable. So moving around, very smooth. The feet at the bottom here, it's the same type of quality on the MX Master 3. So just overall ergonomics and hand feel, it doesn't feel foreign at all. Feels really good, feels really natural. One more thing that I want to point out is that this is really meant for a small to medium sized hand. So if I take a look at my MX Master 3, when I put my hand at rest, you can see my middle finger extends just slightly over the right click. But on the left click, my index finger is not extending at all. And this feels natural and comfortable to me. However, when I use this mouse, you can see these fingers, they both kind of extend slightly past the right and left click. So again, I consider my hands to be about medium-sized hands, not too big, not too small. So this is what this is going to be great for. If you have larger hands, this is definitely not the mouse for you. Take a look at the MX Vertical instead of the Lift Vertical. Taking a closer look at the buttons, so there's 6 in total and they are customizable. So you do have the front and back buttons, left and right buttons. The mouse wheel does click in as a middle click. You also have this middle button here which you can press in, and that changes DPI by default. I really want to highlight just how quiet these right and left buttons are. So here's a demo. So I don't know if the microphone's picking that up, but it's very, very slight. So this is perfect for like a shared office space or if you're working late at night. Now I will bring the mouse closer to my microphone to see if you can pick that up. So maybe you did hear it when I brought it close to the mic, but in general, you're not going to be bothering anyone with this. Now that I've added the mouse to the Logitech software, I'm just going to take a look at some of the options in terms of customization. So the middle button, it has all the regular stuff that you would have with any other type of Logitech mouse. So you can change pointer speed, switch applications, gestures, and so on. Now the middle button here, it lets you switch between two preset pointer speeds. So I have mine at 60%, but I can also switch the other one to say the default of 50 lower or all the way to the highest without having to go into the software. So that's pretty good that, you know, you can switch between two presets. And you can also switch it to any other type of task if you don't find yourself needing to change pointer speed often. Now, so let me take a look at the point and scroll options. So the scroll wheel, there's only options for inverted or standard, and there's also an option for smooth scrolling, which I've turned on. Looking at easy switch and flow, I don't have my other devices paired right now. I'll do that later, but of course, those are pretty handy options to copy files between computers or to control other devices on the fly. And then lastly, you have your settings menu where you could just update the software or firmware. Scrolling around on a web page is pretty easy. You can see I can scroll line by line, or I can flick it to go up or down a few lines at a time. Now, this does feel like a bit of a downgrade coming from the MX Master 3 with its smooth scrolling, but let me demo what that looks like. So if I was to take the MX Master 3, you can see as I flick, it scrolls pretty much continuously, and it's really easy to scroll through multiple photos or video files or on a web page. So this is definitely not bad. But if you're used to the MX Master 3, it's definitely going to feel like a step down. If you've never used the MX Master 3, it won't be an issue for you. So one software that I use pretty much daily is Adobe Photoshop. And I think this is going to be a pretty good test of how well I can adjust and adapt to this mouse, because this software kind of does require a lot of fine control to get things where you want it to go. So let me just play around for a bit and see how well I do and how quickly I can adjust to using a vertical mouse. Just gonna play around really quickly here, nothing serious. And so far I'm not really having any issues. It's clicking when I want it to click, it's going where I want it to go, nothing to complain about. Yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty surprising to me how quickly I've adjusted to using this mouse. It doesn't feel like there's going to be much of a learning curve or that I'm really missing anything or messing up in any way with the vertical mouse. So I'm actually pretty surprised. After using the Logitech Lift for the last couple of days, and every day I'm using it for between 8 to 10 hours, I'm actually really starting to like this mouse. So using the mouse in this position where your hand is upright, so it's at a 57-degree angle, it's much more comfortable. And you can tell that, you know, naturally this is where your hand wants to be. So it is a big improvement now that I've been using it. Now, if you take a look at the MX Master 3, which is what I was using, you can see I have to rotate my wrist a lot more to keep it flat to use it like this. And one other benefit, if you wear a watch, you can see at the bottom of your watch where you have that buckle. If you're worried about desk diving or just scratching this is where it would get scratched. But when you're using the vertical mouse, the buckle is now towards the top and it's the band that's taking that wear. Minor thing, but if you're a watch wearer, you know what I'm talking about. One thing that still surprises me is just how quickly I was able to adapt to using a mouse like this. Coming from this type of traditional mouse style, I was really worried that switching to something like this would really affect my workflow or slow it down, but I haven't found that to be the case at all. And trust me, once your hand is in this position, it just feels right, you know, and it's kind of hard to go back to twisting your wrist this way. One thing that I have caught myself doing, and it's something I have to work on though, is while I'm typing on my keyboard, when I go back to the mouse, sometimes I do have a tendency to hit the top of it. because the height is much more than on my previous mouse. So I'd be typing, I'd go to use the mouse, sorry, and I would hit the side. So I just have to be mindful that when I'm typing to lift my hand higher, versus with the MX Master 3, because you know, it's a lower profile mouse. When I'm finished typing, I could just easily go over here. But with this, it's gonna take a little bit more adjustment, but it definitely is worth it for the trade-off in terms of comfort that you get. One thing that's never really bothered me about the MX Master 3 is the weight. So if I go ahead and weigh that, it's about 143 grams, but if I weigh the lift, that comes in at 133 grams. So it's about a 10 gram difference. And while it doesn't sound like a lot, there's definitely a noticeable difference between using the two. Another thing I found myself really enjoying with the lift is just how quiet it is to use the mouse. So you can see as I'm clicking, there's really not much of any noise. But with the Master 3, you can definitely hear a lot of clicking. And you know, it is really peaceful and calm when you're working to just be able to navigate around and click. Now, one thing I want to mention is when you're using the scroll wheel on the MX Master 3, because it's positioned, you know, where gravity is not pulling it to any other side, it's well balanced, using it is noise free. However, with the lift, because it's at an angle and gravity is pulling the scroll wheel down, you can hear anytime you're scrolling, there is going to be knocking because the scroll wheel is moving right to left or laterally. Now, if you go very slowly, you know, you can minimize the noise, but who's going to do that? So just something to be mindful of. You know, it's overall very quiet unless you're scrolling. So can I recommend the Logitech Lift vertical mouse? I would say if you've been on the fence about using a vertical mouse like I was, this is definitely a great place to start. It's a very lightweight mouse. The build quality is excellent. It's not too big, so it's very easy to manage and get accustomed to. Taking everything that I said into account, I highly recommend this mouse. And I think that if you're coming to a vertical mouse like this, you really value ergonomics and your wrist health, and this will definitely deliver on that. The only complaint I had was with the scrolling, and honestly, that's not really a make or break when you consider the trade-off in terms of your wrist health and comfort. All in all, it's been a great experience so far. If you're like me and you're spending multiple hours a day on a computer, consider a vertical mouse, and this is a pretty great place to start. If I missed anything in my review, or if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I do my best to reply to all questions. And if you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.